Okay, we've started broadcasting. You all out there today. I need my solutions won't come up, so I need to put in a jump drive and find the solutions. Okay, chapter 14 and 13 are two of your toughest chapters. That's why I didn't give you a midterm on it today. We still got some problems to go over today. We'll finish this chapter. You'll have a midterm the week you come back. It will probably be on that Thursday. We'll review a little bit on Tuesday and start chapter 15 on Tuesday. Read that over the break if you have time. Of course, you can find time. My deal yesterday is not working too good. I offered you 2 points on every attendance you have curve on the next test. And so it didn't work, did it, Code? Nobody took a bribe, but if they study hard and do well on the test, maybe they won't need a curve. Who knows? But anyway, I had to turn in midterm grades yesterday for those who are live streaming or will live stream. And half of this class had F's. And it's obvious I only had one test to base that on, and you have a drop grade. So don't let that midterm grade bother you. We'll have another test, we'll have a drop grade, then we'll have another test, and we'll have the exam. You cannot drop the exam, of course. It's a test grade you can drop. Test 1, 2, or 3. And that will help many of you. But if you fail all the tests, it sure can't help you. Anyhow, live streaming is for people who live at a distance, like Beckley or Lewisburg. Live streaming is for people who are working during the daytime, and they can take this class. It is not for you just to sleep late or to do whatever you're doing and not being in class. So I'm hoping the division can make that a policy next year, that you prove that you live over 50 miles away and you prove that you're working during this time, then you could live stream. So I don't know if that'll happen or not, but I'd like to see it happen. The test that I'm giving you Thursday, 2 weeks from today, is 20 multiple choice, in case you want to be studying for this during the break. All right. And you'll have 5 or 6 problems. And I'll tell you what those problems are if you want to study for the break. The first problem is on issuing common stock and purchasing some of that stock back, which is treasury stock. So know how to issue common stock, know how to buy treasury stock, and know what to do with it when you sell it back. Okay, another problem, number 2, you're going to sell common stock and you're going to sell preferred stock, and you're going to pay a dividend. You're going to declare and pay a dividend, okay? So that is chapter 13, issuing stock, treasury stock, dividends. All right. And let's see, you have a problem on here about stock splits, but you don't make an entry for a stock split. And you have a bunch of numbers on here to do a short equity statement. So put a lot of time on chapter 13. That's the only chapter we have on corporations. Now on chapter 14, I only got 2 problems on here, plus a bunch of multiple choice. Now the 2 problems, problem 5 and 6, 1, we issue bonds. We amortize the bond discount using a straight line method. And then we call bonds in. And we went over all that yesterday. We call bonds in, but yesterday being Tuesday, we amortized a premium and we amortized a discount. In fact, those in class should have been a good session Tuesday to help them with chapter 14. Okay. Anyhow, then the next problem is to prepare an amortization schedule. Not of an installment, but the effective interest method. So I am going to give you the 1 problem on the effective interest method. All right, now we will be studying that today. That's one thing we'll work on today, okay? And most of you, especially here in class, will get a handle on that. Disappointed that all these folks are absent. I hope they have a good break. If they haven't been here all week, they're having a 2-week break, I guess, instead of a 1 week. Anyway, some multiple choice type questions would be journal entries, callable bonds, and questions. So do read the chapter. That's what the venture bonds are. Now know some characteristics of a corporation, or disadvantages and advantages. Now, who runs a corporation, Jonathan? Who runs it? If you owned your own business, Jonathan, who would run that business? You would. Okay. If you and Cole were partners in a business, you and Cole would run it. But now you all still can incorporate and you all would still run it. But most mega corporations, all right, who's most responsible for the decision makings of a corporation? Is it the stockholders, the employees, the board of directors, or management? Which one would you choose? Stockholders, employees, board of directors, or management? Monique? Guess. Those most responsible for the major policy decisions is the board of directors. And they pass that on down to CEO, which is management, CEO, chief executive officer, I guess, and there's CFOs, chief financial officers. So the board of directors, they put in place the CEO. CEO then picks his managers, vice presidents, and so on. So just know a little bit about a corporation. All right, that'll give you something that you can study for and be writing your 1 page of notes. Now, I have some students coming in here to take the test that day that probably won't even have a page of notes written. So please do that much for yourself. Write a good page of notes for this test. Okay. All right, that brings us up to some problems we had for today. Y'all had midterms in most of your classes. Monique, did you have midterms in your classes? No midterm? Jonathan? Didn't have any midterms, huh? Couple. A midterm is just another test. Most instructors like to get in 2 tests before midterm. But unfortunately, only got in 1 test. And I slowed down at the beginning because people didn't have books and we had so many new people. And now we still have to cover 10 chapters this semester. We've covered 4. When we come back, we've got a lot of work to do on 6 chapters, but they are easier chapters, especially 5 of them, okay? So we'll get through them. But corporations are important, and stock and bonds being issued are important. The installment item, of course, is important. Now we're going to the appendix on page 697 for a few minutes. Go to page 697. All right, now what we're going to do, all right, now, as we were talking the other day, if I have $1 million worth of bonds, now work with me today and you'll learn this effective interest method. Then we'll look at your other problems. But if we sold these for $950,000, see, I'm just making up amounts. Now I'm selling at a discount. That means my bonds is paying 10%, and the market is probably paying 11%. This is CR, contract rate or coupon rate. And this is MR, market rate. All right, since our rate is below market, we sell at a discount. Now, to make that journal entry, we practiced that journal entry the other day. We debit cash for $950,000. We debit discount for $50,000, right? And we credit bonds payable for $1 million. Now, that will take care of a bond no matter what method you were using, straight line or what have you. Now, let's say we're using straight line rate, just to review that. If these bonds pay interest semi-annual, we're paying 10% a year, so we're paying how much semi-annual? 5%. What is 5% of $1 million? Should be doing that in your head, but now we'll use a calculator. You'll find it to be 50,000, but work it out. To get 50,000, Monique? All right, so 50,000. Now, if these were 10-year bonds, which I hadn't mentioned, that would be 20 periods, wouldn't there? All right, 20 into I don't know why I put more zeros. What is 20 into 50,000? What is 20 into 50,000? How much? 2,500. All right, now jot that journal entry down to pay the interest. All right, the discount's 50. How much did we say the interest was? It was also 50. Didn't mean for it to be the same, but it is. So see if you can jot that entry down. All right, now 3B, let's see now. 4A is your account. So use these accounts and make me a journal entry. I'm trying the snow out. Maybe that's why a lot of people didn't show up. Weather. Suzanne's live streaming. Somebody else is live streaming. Tyler Mullins is live streaming. So I've got at least 3 out there and live streaming as we speak. And the weather for Bluefield is supposed to be snowing. Supposed to be snowing now. It's supposed to snow at 10, 60% change. 11, 60% change. At 12, it goes down to 40% change. At 1, 30%. 2, back up to 60%. 3, 60%. So we got snow forecast every hour, 50 to 60%. And out there right now, I would say it's 100%. All right. How much cash are we paying out, guys? And Monique, how much cash are we paying out every 6 months? Was it 50,000? 5% of $1 million was 50,000. So this number's right, isn't it? Now, how much of that discount were we going to amortize? We calculated it. The discount was 50,000 divided by 20 periods was how much? All right, 2,500. Well, when you add these two together, your interest expense is going to be what? 52.5. Anybody have that? Cole, do you have that?
Not at first.
Huh?
I messed up and had interest expense of 50,000, and I did cash 47.5. I just did it backwards.
Yeah, cash has to be 50,000, whether it's a premium or discount. It has to be 50,000. But that premium or discount messes around with interest expense. It increase or decrease. The discount will increase. Okay, now that was a review of the interest method, the straight line method. Now let's look at the interest method. Now, I suggest that you have in your page of notes these headings jotted down. Okay, have these headings jotted down. Let's start looking at page 698. All right, look at that first line on 698 and look at columns D and E. All right. Now, what I see there, you'd make that journal entry. I'm going to get some more white space here. All right, you've got $100,000 worth of bonds. All right, got 100,000, right? Now, what is the discount on those bonds? Is that 3,594? And we sold those bonds for how much? 90 what? Column E, we sold those bonds for 96 what? All right. Now that's what we had. Now you should make a journal entry. Hey, Lorenzo.
Sorry if I missed the last class. I was wondering. I mean, I watched the video. Like, is it okay if I watch the video today as well? Because there's like 3 minutes exams. I need to catch up with.
Oh, yes, it did. Yeah. Somebody said one of the videos didn't come in very good.
I was trying to live stream it from my office and it wasn't coming on. So I don't know.
I wanted to come on later. I hit all the buttons right. It's supposed to be in live streaming.
I don't know. I'm gonna check it later. But I was just saying, like, is it okay for today's class? I'm gonna check the videos. Like,
oh yeah,
that works.
That'd be fine.
We didn't say anything about the exam, right? We're not gonna take it today.
No, we'll have a test Thursday. We'll review a little bit today and Tuesday when we get back. Then we'll have a test on 2 chapters. We'll probably start. We're already starting a chapter on standard cost.
Okay, so okay, that's good.
This guy is from Italy. I don't think he's made anything less than an A on any class. And you can see he could live stream without telling me, but he has to take some makeup midterms, and he has to be pretty live stream. But I think he got some kind of award last year as a junior. And he's a senior this year, and I'm pretty sure he'll get the overall school of business award. Because he's a 4.0, and he plays tennis and what have you. But he's a good guy, very well mannered, and what have you. So, yeah, we don't have enough international students this year. I have two. I have one from Georgia, country of, and one from Italy. And last fall we had I had one young lady from Brazil. She's still around here, majoring in something else. And then we had a young man from Ukraine, Clayton Good. He's still around here. Now you're from where? Is it Inja? Inja? How do we pronounce your first name?
Yeah.
NJ? Okay. That's new anyway, won't it? Now, what country are you from? Ghana. Okay. But anyhow, I just hope they get more international students. It adds a flavor to the campus. They add to the tennis teams, and some of them played volleyball and cross country, and they've added to the sports. And we need more of them. Okay. I just heard all these immigration things that's in the news, and the DACA and all that stuff in the news don't hurt keep any of our students away that want to come here. So, but now what do you have? A student visa? Do what now? Oh, okay. Okay, your parents were from Ghana, and you were born in that. Well, you're a natural born citizen.
For my heritage.
Yeah, okay, got you. Okay. My granddaughter's working down in Atlanta. Have you been there lately or? Yeah, okay. But it's a nice place. I just hate the traffic down there. Do not like the traffic. Okay, now if we were making this journal entry, we'd debit cash for 96,406, and would credit bonds payable for 100, and we would debit discount for this amount. So line 0 there, you'd make your journal entry. Okay. Now line 1 and 2, you're going to have to make journal entries. Okay. Now let's look at line 1. Now we're going to have to make an interest payment, and we're paying 12% interest. Now, how do I know? Because we're paying 6%. We're paying 6%. Now, column A is the same thing every period. You got to pay 6,000 interest, right? Okay. Now, if we were going back here to this problem, and this being a discount, let's see. All right. Now, cash would be paying out $6,000, wouldn't it? Going to make the same entry, but it changes every period. Now, going across there, the market rate of interest is 13%. Now, what is half of 13%? What's half? 6.5, isn't it? All right. Now, that's the next column. You take 6.5% of the carrying amount. That's of 96,406. Now, column C is your real interest, okay? Now, column C is 266. Now, look at column D and column E. Column D you subtract 266 from the 3594. And that's your unamortized discount. And then you add, well, you can take 100,000 minus D, or you can take 96,000, you can take column B and add column C, would work too. All right, now this is the effective interest method. So now what would make the rest of this journal entry? We're on page 698, and the rest of this journal entry would be discount, amortized discount, 266. Now, what would be your real interest expense? 6,266. All right. Now we got to practice that, don't we? Keep the same page available, page 698. I want to see if you can fill in column 0 up there with your discount and your carrying amount, and fill in column 1 and column 2, or fill in year 1 and year 2. Well, sorry about that. Payment 1 and payment 2, or June the 30th and December the 31st, whatever. So let's go to the appendix, and hopefully they have the appropriate little problem right there ready for us. We need to practice that times interest earned also. Now this is appendix what? Is this appendix 1 or appendix 2? A, B, what is it? Has anybody found the name of the appendix yet? It's appendix 2. All right. So we're going to work a problem on appendix 2. So look at page 710, appendix 2, amortized discount by the interest method. Now I want you to refer back to exhibit 10. That's page 696. On the first day of its year, Everett Company issued 50 million of 10 years, 7% bonds. Now, what is half of 7%? You pay 3.5% of 50,000. That will be the interest that you paid. All right, the bonds were issued at a market rate of 9%. We're paying 7, the market's paying 9, so we go issue that discount. So we're going to sell those bonds for $43,495,895. Now journalize the entry to record the sale of the bonds. All right. Now you don't have to do that. I just want you to take that problem. Now what is half of 13% or 9%? What's half of 9? 4.5. What's half of 7? 3.5. Now take that and go to page 696. Now your workbook may have this problem in it. I don't know. So I want you to do payment 1 and payment 2, and put your column 0 in there. Does your workbook have appendix problems in it? See, they just want you to make journal entries. So let's go over and see if there's a problem. I don't see one. I may have to do this on blank page. No, I don't see anything else on it. All right, so just do blank paper, or you can put it on that paper if you want to. I'm not wanting the journal entries. I want the table. So take blank paper, write those headings across. Some of you need this table so that you will get it correct. that's not table. I told you all the wrong table, but I told you the right table the first time. Wrong table the second time. So on what page is that table on?
698.
What?
698.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, that's exhibit 11. Column A, B, C, D, E. Did you set column 0 up yet? The A, B, C.
There's something else that we did the other day.
Oh, okay, that's right, okay. Oh, now that was installments, okay. It works similar to installments. Take a couple of minutes and set up your installments. Okay, it takes a while to set it up, I know that. But we do need to practice. I hope you folks live streaming will practice this also. Okay, now this would have been your journal entry on that bond. Now in column 0, make sure you have the carried amount, 43, 495, 895. And make sure you have the unamortized discount, 6504, 105. And then you know the bond is payable is 50. Now you go down to 1. Now here is going to be some of your answers for year 1. Now in year 1, you'll multiply this 43. I want you to put in the table though. 43, 495 by 4.5%. All right. Now that will be column what? And then you multiply the 3.5%, that's the interest you pay. Now this will be your journal entry from payment 1, but I want you to put it across the page. Got to have it across the page in correct order. All right, you started off with 0. We're going to go payment 1, payment 2. All right. These are the payment dates. And then we had column A, B, C, D, and E. Now, column 0 had, what did column 0 have in it? Wait a minute. A, B, C, D, D, E, F. I don't know what I'm doing with.
Let's go to E.
It goes to E, don't it?
Yeah.
All right. Now, E had your carrying amount, which is what? The 495, 895. That's a lot of numbers. All right. And then your discount was column D, right? Unamortized discount, 6. I just can't write that small. All right. Now that's when you start column 1. Now column A has your interest payments. What is 3.5% of 50,000? What's 3.5% of 50,000? How much?
1,750,000.
Yeah, that sounds right. Mm. 1,750,000. Now you see that's what's going to be in the journal entry. And that's every time, 1,750,000 every time. Now, how do you get column B? How do you get column B? You take this carrying amount and multiply it by the market rate. This was 3.5. This is 4.5. This is 3.5, and you get the same answer every time. 4.5 is times the carrying amount. And when you multiply 4.5 times 45,495,000, 895, what do you come up with? Multiply 45,495,000, 895 by 4.5%. What do you come up with? Did you get 1957315? Cole and John, Monique. All right. 197 1957315. I don't know if I have enough room or not, but at least you're going to get the gist of it, okay? I just cannot. All right, column C. How do you get column C? How do you get column C?
B minus A.
B minus A. That gives you what? 207,315? Is that what it gives you? Now you've done enough right here to make this entry. You've done enough to make this entry using effective interest method, but we need to continue it on to do more periods. So what did that leave in column D? What does that leave in column D? Column D is what? D minus C. All right. Take this 6,504,000 and subtract the 207,305. What do you get? What do you get for column D?
6,296,790.
Now, sorry about this mess. All right. Now, how do you get column E? Subtract this from 100,000. Subtract this from 100,000. Or add this column C to column E. And that carrying amount's going to grow to 45,000 what? What will the carrying amount grow to? Add the 207,305 or subtract Wait a minute. Do we subtract or do we add? We add, don't we? I subtract the 6,296,790 from 50 million. I don't know what I was thinking about, what a million. Or take this number, E and C, and add. C plus E gives me what, Co? Add C plus E.
43,703,210.
C plus E. You got to add now. This is already 45, isn't it?
That's 43.
Oh, is that a 3? See, can't read my own writing. Is that, well, no wonder you weren't answering me. I was wrong. 43 what?
43,703,210.
Now, how do we fill in column B? We take this carrying amount, multiply it by 4.5%. So take 43,703,207 and multiply it by 4.5%. What do you get for column B?
1,906,644.45.
644.
0.45.
Now round off. All right, then you take it away again. Now practice that interest table. You do have one problem on the exam. It's probably worth about 10 points, so you don't want to lose 10 points. You can even have that table written down on your notes, okay? I guess Sydney is live streaming, so I've got 4 people live streaming. That gives me 50% of the class, I guess. All right, now let's clean up the homework that we had, and I'll give you a couple other homework on this problem. I know it's spring break. Is anybody going out of town? Where will you be going to?
I'm going to Raleigh, North Carolina for a couple of days, and I might be going to Miami.
Yeah.
Like the last 4 days.
That'd be nice. Might be warm down in Miami.
Yeah, trying to get some sun.
Raleigh, it depends. I think Raleigh's had a pretty good winter this year, haven't you? Yeah. I know I went out there. My deceased wife had cancer, and I went to Bowman Gray at Winston-Salem. Raleigh's what, maybe 40 miles from Winston-Salem? Yeah, for an hour and a half. I went through Raleigh to go to Myrtle Beach before.
I'm also going to be this weekend, but I can't go there.
Yeah, I'll probably run down to Myrtle Beach for 3 or 4 nights. Supposed to be in the 60s. I hope it's warmer, but Miami, you'll be in the 70s or 80s. Yeah. But one winter I went to Bowman Gray out in Winston-Salem, and it was an ice storm. It was ice, and my wife had a chemo appointment, and nothing ever stopped me. If I was supposed to be there, I went. And they were sending the staff home. The doctor was about ready to go home. They said, "You're here? Can't believe you all made it." And I said, "Well, yeah, she had an appointment, so she got her chemo." My wife had multiple myeloma, and the doctors gave her about 3 years to live, but she made it 13. So she tried all the new treatments, and she had a lot of quality during those times. And but she beat the odds. But in the end, of course, you know, she lost the fight, I guess, in the end. But she won the fight for 13 years. Okay, now what problems did you have assigned for today, Co?
Was 2A, 3A, 4.
2, 3, and 4. Now that wraps up the meat of the chapter. That wraps up bonds with straight line method and selling bonds and calling bonds and so on. So let's go ahead and look at these problems. If you don't know where a number, now I'm not interested on a test comparing bond financing methods. So don't worry about that or financing methods. We know here in Plan 1 we issued no bonds. I suppose no bond, no interest, no interest. But when we start issuing bonds, then we get more earnings per share. All right, so let's look at 2A. And Cole, we'll start with you. I won't pick on y'all too much this morning. There's not many of you here. On 2A, Cole, the first entry is to issue common stock in exchange for land and building. Now, you'll have a problem on the test where you exchange for land or building. So, Cole, what entry did you have?
Debit cash, and discount on bonds payable, and credit bonds payable.
Well, I guess there's a lot of things that happen in between. Okay. Whoops. Well, I guess I may be on the wrong problem. In fact, I was on the wrong chapter. We journalized the entry to record the amount of cash proceeds from the issuance of the bonds. And that's what Cole did. A debit cash, debit discount. So we've done that entry enough that you should be getting it down pretty good. Okay, now the next entry, journalize the entry to record the following. The first semi-annual interest payment. Right, Jonathan, what'd you do there?
Debit interest expense and credit discount on bonds payable and credit cash.
Did you have $135,893 for discount?
Yes. I had 897.
All right, 897. All right, now we've had that entry, and you use the straight line method, right? Determine the total interest expense for the year. Okay. The total interest expense for the year 1 would be $1,535,000. Let me see. Well, that is part B. Year 2, we paid that much interest also. They just did it for year 1 and year 2, didn't they? They didn't do that for 6 months then, did they? They did it for a year. All right. And it says determine the total interest expense for year 1. Well, it should be $1,535,897. $1,535,000. That's the same thing for year 2, 3, 4, 5, what have you. But these should have been 2 entries if it were semi-annual. And 4, will the bond proceeds always be less than the face when the contract rate was sure? And you did not have to calculate present value. Compute the price of the bonds received for the bonds by using the present value table. I'm not having you to do that, but here was the present value of the bonds lump sum. Here's the present value of the interest payment. And here, of course, you're using the market rate. Okay. And here it looks like the market rate. Anyway, that's the present value of the bonds, 37,282.6. All right. Use present value tables to calculate cash. I told you, you would not have to do that. I told Susan, you would not have to do that. I would give you the 37,282. Okay, on a test. All right, number 3. Bond premium interest for bond payable transaction. Did you have the first entry, Monique?
Credit premium on bond
All right. Again, they gave you the amount they sold it for, 26,625,925. Now, when you pay interest on that, all right, interest expense, straight line method, premium. Now, you've had two problems here doing the straight line method, premium and discount. You'll have one problem on the test, straight line method. Hopefully, you'll get it. Now, I think you all that have been here can get that. And those that are not here, this snow may be bothering them. I don't think it's sticking to the roads, but maybe some back streets, who knows? Now, in West Virginia, a lot of people live up on a hill, don't they? There's nowhere to go but build up on the hill. And if you've got a road straight down to a main road, your hill may be slick. And I don't want anybody to ever endanger their life to make the class. However, schools close, banks don't close, post office don't close, the manufacturing companies don't close. So if you got a job, you'll have to be there. You don't get snow days on the job. Okay? I'm sure you're employed to understand if you were snowed in or on a hillside and you can't get your car off, but that wouldn't be too often. Miss Logan and I were talking a minute ago. She's got two young females that never make the class on time. If they're going to be in the health services out there or working in a nursing home, or they don't show up, who's going to take care of those old people in a nursing home if they're always a half an hour late? So, all right. So problem 3 is your first year or first 6 months interest, and B is your second. And your total interest expense goes down because of a premium. And yes, answer that question. And to calculate by using present value method, if you can do that, great. If you can't, don't worry about it. All right, now 4A, we issued $74 million of 20-year, 11% callable bonds. Interest payable semi-annual. All right. Angie, can you do that journal entry for problem 4, July the 1st? Can you do that one? All right, let me holler back at Cole then. Cole, what is that entry?
You debit cash, debit discount, bonds payable, credit bonds payable.
All right. Now they gave you those amounts, right? They gave you the 63,352. All right. And then they gave you the 74. You had to subtract and get the discount. Jonathan, have you got the next entry?
Credit, you debit cash, 200,000 credit note payable.
All right, now you're taking on a note, okay? And now accrued 3,000 of interest on the installment note. The interest is payable the date of the next installment note payment. Now let's look at that entry. So we accrued. Accrued means it is adjusting entry. It was December 31st. They tell you the amount. So it's interest expense and interest payable. But when you get up here to paying your interest on December on the bonds, all right, this is the straight line method. So debit interest expense, credit cash, and you add on the discount. Now that's just like the other problems. And year 2, same type of entry. Now, September the 30th, year 2, that note has 12 All right, look at that note. Take 6% of 200,000. What is 6% of 200,000? Oh, come on. 6% of 200,000 is what? 12,000? All right. Now you'd have to set up that table for installments. Now you remember, this is year 2. The interest expense will be, well, 9,000 and 3,000 makes how much? How much is 9,000, 3,000 make? 12. Now, how much is your payment going to be? It tells you. You're going to pay 40,673, and you're going to debit notes payable. Now, you'd have to, what is that notes payable? Go back up and subtract that notes. All right, how much is it? How much is that notes payable? 200. Now subtract 28,873. Subtract 28,673. And then multiply the difference by 12%. That takes care of your next period. They didn't ask for that, but your interest would not be 12,000 every year. Now on this one, there's one entry I want to bring your attention to, and it's the last entry. All right. Paid the semi-annual interest on the bonds. The accrued interest, well, June the 30th. On June the 30th, we redeemed the bonds, which were called at 98. All right. Multiply 74 million by 98. Do that in your calculator. When you multiply 74 million by 98, what do you get? Multiply 74 million by decimal 98. Well, but I want to see that you get that. All right. That's how much cash you're paying, 98, which is 98%. Now, where do these numbers come from? The discount. It says bond discount is still 9,420,009. It gave you that. So when you add these two together and subtract it from 74, you had a loss on the redemption. So you will have a redemption of a bond. So do know that journal entry. Okay? All right, I want you to do problem 6A. That's an appendix problem. Do problem 6A for homework. And we'll take care of the interest method. You probably ought to also practice 5A. So your only homework is to do 5A and 6A, study for the test. If you get time, read chapter 15. We got to start chapter 15. So I'm going to let you go for today. I thank all of you for showing up. Be careful in case the weather isn't bad as it's starting to look. And at this point, I will quit recording.